Welcome, another expert talk. So whoever's joined us and whoever will be joining us, another expert talk on high vibe projects with wonderful, wonderful panelists. I'm so excited about tonight's talk, work-life balance, or I should say maybe the myth of work-life balance. And I can't wait to hear what all of you have to say. And our wonderful, wonderful experts on the panel will start with John. I'll allow you guys to go around and start introducing yourself and tell us about you, and we'll just move on. So Johnny, take it away.
Okay, so I've been a health coach for 20 years now. Everything I've done since I left school was just all about, first started working in the gym and just really started to help and connect to people in their own health in the gym, and then it just transformed into coaching and just looking at every single different parts of people's lives, their sleep, their nutrition, and then obviously done a lot of coaching the last few years with you guys, and yeah, just looking at how people can become whole. It's been really cool.
Amazing, amazing. And you're also a business mentor.
That's right. Yeah, I've got my own team of personal trainers and coaches that I mentor, and it's really good. There's been a lot of changes in the last kind of few weeks and stuff, but it's been really good to work with. I'm working with a lot more coaches now, which has been really cool.
Phenomenal. Really. I love that. Thank you. Vanessa, over to you. Please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about you. I'll just unmute you. There we go.
Oh, I'll try again. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Vanessa, and I am a transformational coach, budding writer. I'm trying to write at the moment with a full house of family and pets and everything else, which has proven to be very interesting. And I have actually transitioned out of a corporate background, so business, marketing, finance. Decided it really wasn't for me. Had my 3 kids, and really wanted to do something that I was passionate about, and I had a purpose for. Unfortunately, I fell very sick a couple of years ago. I was diagnosed with cancer, and that really was the pivotal moment for me to really decide what it was that I wanted out of my life, and really what was going to inspire me and make me happy. So this is where I am now, and really, really happy to be here.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Mariam, take it away. Please tell us a bit more about you.
Hi everyone again. My name is Mariam, and I work with victims of domestic violence, so that's my day job, 9 to 5. And I also have a non-profit organization which is called Afghan Women on the Move. So basically we work with Afghan women, and we provide mentorships to newly arrived Afghan refugees and migrants. And also I write as well. So I write short stories and monologues for performances. And my recent play was The Good Women. And so that's all about me. There is nothing much.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Edward, please introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
So my name is Edward. You can call me Ed. I'm based in Tokyo right now for the last 7 years. The reason is because I met my Japanese wife in my home country in Croatia. She is a pianist and she was studied there. And then she asked me after 5 years living in Europe to move in Asia, in Japan. So that's how I come up in Tokyo. Obviously, I'm not Japanese, even if I live in Tokyo. So my background is I'm always like in marketing and storytelling, creative campaign for the big clients, for the small clients. But my passion is actually to help small business owners and entrepreneurs, and that's how I join in those kind of community in Tokyo, and working closely with the venture capital, with the Globis venture capital fund, and help many startups to define what they can do, how to create a good business plan, And the last 2 years, I'm creating the community for female entrepreneurs in Japan and Asia, and actually now is global community. It's 700 and something female entrepreneurs from 60 countries. So they actually are doing interview with me, like storytelling, and some of them they are creating a campaign for their first launch online business, because now everybody are shifting from offline to online, not because they all want to, but because there is no alternative at the moment.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And we're talking all about work-life balance today. And we'll start with you, Ed, when we've got you here as well. You know, what is this concept of work-life balance? Like, is it a myth? Is it true? Like, what's your perception? What are your views on work-life balance?
For me, balance is a myth. So I don't believe in a work-life balance. I believe, like, especially entrepreneurs, we always have a pleasure and enjoyment even we are working hard. So there is no something like I will work 8 hours and then I will 8 hours sleep, and then every 8 hours I will do something else. It's usually when you have something which is important for you, you are working like 16 hours, 70 hours per day, and then you maybe take some day off or 2 days off, and you want to recover your body from that hard work. So I strongly believe we are all moving from the old concept of the working life balance, which means 9 to 5 work, because the companies will also looking for the talents with the different skills. So if you really want to develop your skills, you cannot just stick with one industry, with one job. You have to actually explore more, follow your passion, and get that experience. So I will recommend, instead of follow work-life balance, to follow something you are curious about and learn and get that skills, because then it will be much more fun for you, and you will be actually able to work with so many different companies instead of only with one. So that's how I see the work-life balance.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. 100%. And like you said, with entrepreneurs, there's no specific time, and there's no even specific place that you might be working. You never know who you're working with, and you can't even set hours. Sometimes it gets very difficult. I mean, life gets in the way at times, and it doesn't matter how much you have everything planned out, something comes up that you just got to have the flexibility to shift things around. Thank you for sharing that. Mariam, we'll move over to you. What are your views and beliefs when it comes to work-life balance?
Why did you pick me first? Oh, second.
We're going backwards now.
That's okay. Well, I will be speaking from a perspective of being a mother and full-time. I have a full-time job, and I have a few other hats that I have chosen to work with, or because I guess when you choose to balance your work and life, you got to find your purpose. And once you know that, who you're doing it for, or who you are, and who's getting benefit from it, and what benefit in terms of whether psychologically or financially that you get benefit from, then you probably would find that balance. You can work it out once you know, as I said, who you're doing it for and what your purpose for what you're doing is. So that's how I found myself to do so much. And a lot of people ask me that, how come I have 2 kids. I can count my husband here as well, so 3 kids. And also I have a full-time job, and I do a few other volunteer work. I have a non-profit organization. I write as well, and for those of you who writes, you know that how much it takes time until you bring a piece where it can be readable, or somebody can benefit from your perspective and what you are trying to tell. So those things needs a balance, obviously. But for me, because I know why I'm doing it, and that gives me the energy to work with. And yeah, the purpose is very important.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. It is huge. Once you know why you're doing what you're doing, it makes such a big difference, and you don't even look at it as work anymore. It just becomes a part of you, part of your life. It's just who you are. And I'm so glad you touched on that. It's really important to know why you were doing this, and the purpose is definitely a big part of it. Thank you for sharing that. And Vanessa, can you please share your beliefs on work-life balance and what thoughts you have on that topic? I'll just unmute you for a moment. Gotta find you here. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Fabulous. And Tina, your sound has gone very quiet. I don't know if that's the same for everyone or just me. It has gone down a lot, so I can only just hear you.
I can fix that. It could be my internet connection at the moment.
Okay. All right. Let me know if you want.
Is that a little bit better? You got a lot of technology. Is that better? Can you hear me better now?
Yes, a little soft, but can hear you. Welcome back.
Yeah. So we'll continue. So please share your beliefs and vision when it comes to work-life balance.
Okay, look, for me, you know, that the word work-life balance is something that has been, you know, bandied around for a long time now. Yes, it is something that is very important to me. I have always been a working mum. I've got 3 children, and like Marion said, if I had my husband, that'd be 4 kids, 2 pets. Life is very, very busy, and really working to carve a space out for myself where I have that balance every day can be an enormous challenge. So, you know, my perception of it now, particularly since I am now recovering and I have been sort of quite sick, is that, you know, I to keep things simple, in order to achieve sort of work-life balance. And it's not something that happens on a daily basis. Like Edward said, there can be some days when you're working really, really hard, and then other days when you choose to pull back and take a break. And choices, I think, are important. They're really important for me. There's so many things that I want to do with my life on a career front. With my business, also a new business that I have in transformational coaching, hypnosis, that I'm working with individual clients, and I'm hoping to work with workplaces as well. I'm writing a book, and on top of all that, I'm also juggling the kids and their needs and homeschooling at the moment. Thank goodness it's school holidays right now. So it can be really challenging. So for me, you know, work-life balance is all about being reasonable, understanding what your limitations are, cooperation with the people around you, family members, and really keeping things simple. I tell myself that every day. Just keep it simple, Vanessa. Keep it simple, and don't stress yourself out too much about trying to do too much. I mean, on any given day, I'd like to learn how to play the piano again, do art, write, cook a nice meal for the family, do some baking, go for a walk, exercise, you know, but some days you just have to be reasonable, and, you know, maybe just relaxing or reading a book or picking 1 or 2 things is all you can do. And that's going to have to be good enough some days. So that's my thought on it.
100%. I'm just checking on audio here. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me a bit better now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Much better.
Fantastic. I love what you said there. Beautifully said, Vanessa. Thank you for sharing that. A few things that I got out of that, which was really sort of stood out for me, was the extremes. And you got to cut yourself slack for actually getting to the extremes at times to push things forward, and it's the choices, like you said. Sometimes you're going to have to go and just go all into the project, the work you're doing, or sometimes you're just going to have to go all in and just leave the work behind and just do some work for the family. And again, yes, there's so many things you want to get done in one day, but sometimes some things might have to just, you do it the next day, or you make sure you give yourself enough time to come back to it. So beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. And John, please tell us your views and your perception when it comes to work-life balance.
Okay, so for me, especially as a health coach, a lot of it revolves around that being the key to everything, really, and whether or not there is work-life balance is probably a myth. You know, for when people talk about their health, they're always just thinking about exercise. But to me, you got to, if you can't focus on yourself, and it's very much a coaching aspect, then you can't help anybody else either. You know, so when people are considering every aspect, it's like, how well are you sleeping? Are you getting restful sleep? Are you getting deep sleep? Are you having the right nutrition? You know, especially at this time, and it all constitutes to what your own energy is. You know, so if people are having incorrect nutrition, and it's not about fads or what's best in the magazine or the internet, it's like what is correct for you, what feels good, and what consequently gives you the best energy and happiness in every other aspect of your life, whether it be your family, your work, it all kicks into place then. And the one thing I think was ever said before was about having that purpose. And to me, that's the key to happiness. You know, I'm lucky enough to work with a lot of health coaches who are like me, are so passionate about it being the initial concept of everything that has a domino effect, because they love what they do, as most coaches do, if not all of us. Then all of a sudden, you've got your purpose. You wake up in the morning with a spring in your step, and that gives you more balance to everything. So that's my take on it, really.
100%. And you know, again, you are the common denominator in every aspect of your life. And I love what you said. You know, there's no I also think it's a myth, because it's not like there's another you that goes to work, and then there's another you that comes home to family, or you're the one. You're the common denominator in every aspect of your life. And if you're not 100%, nothing else is going to be 100% in your life. And you touched on you touched on nutrition. How can we tell what is the best nutrition for us?
To me, it's really simple, actually. It's all about how much energy you have after you eat food. So, for example, people are always thinking about nutrition from, oh, I'm hungry, then I'll eat something and will I be full? Well, it should be about the correct nutrition, that when you have it, afterwards your digestion is good and you have got energy for hours afterwards without feeling sleepy or groggy or down and that type of stuff. So people having the correct nutrients, and they will feel that they've got a lot of vibrancy to their day, and not having these kind of big up and down blood sugar rushes. And it's a little bit kind of in depth, but with your digestive system, it's like, if you're feeling good, then you're eating the right foods, not the right foods that other people tell you should be having in the right quantities. It's like, it's the right foods where you wake up in the morning and feel good, and throughout the day you feel like you can concentrate well, look after your family, do your job, all that type of stuff, but just good quality stuff that isn't full of processed rubbish. But more importantly, what you're not intolerant to. And it's so simple, by just asking yourself the question, 1 hour after you eat something, how do I feel? Actually using that mind body connection. A lot of people don't do that. They go, how do I feel 1 hour afterwards, and how do I feel 3 hours afterwards? And if they're both good, keep doing it.
That's a great way of it's a great quality question, and it's a great way of really giving advice. It's just, you know, what works for you, you know, and no one can tell you that, because you're the one that'll really experience it and feel for it. And, you know, I probably need to change my question. I ask myself, am I bored? Do I need to eat now? You know, I should probably ask, how am I really feeling? Am I hungry or not?
Yeah.
I think Mariam was saying she has that issue as well. We'll move over again to you, Mariam, and you spoke about, purpose. And how do you recommend someone find their purpose, so then they can take that pressure and load of having to, obviously it helps a lot. You said it's one of the major key factors. How can someone find their purpose?
Well, that's a good question, but also if I want to really explain myself, what really motivates me and how did I find my purpose in life, it took me almost 40 years. So for all your information, that tells the age as well. It didn't come to me when I was in my 20s. It depends on the experiences you go. It depends on where you've grown up. Where it depends the environment and the education, let's say, as well, plays a big role in terms of setting up your mindset to what you want to do in life. And I like how Vanessa said that. I just put it here. I have something here so I can put some of what you guys say. That's simple, to keep things simple. And a lot of us, especially if I speak from my experience, I start life late in terms of being myself and find my life purpose and do what I do. I started going to school at the age of 20. First, like, when I came to Australia. So it took me many, many years for me to get around to get my head around things and don't feel guilty or be the victim of the circumstances I was. So until you don't go through those ups and downs in life, and it's not easy to find the purpose of your life. And until you don't give it a try, like try things to see what makes you happy, like how Johnny said, that it's the level of your energy, the level of things that gives you that satisfaction, and when you reflect on the work that you do. So all of those you can combine if you get some time and see if it's working and if it makes you happy and it does not kind of makes you so tired and grumpy, like my kids call me grumpy, but anyway, I'm but not the motherly grumpy, but as a being grumpy. So those, if you look at yourself and question yourself sometimes, as I said, that why you're doing it and who's benefit from your work, or how do you get benefit back from what you're giving. So all of that can put things together. But it's not a one simple answer for me to say why I say purpose. But I can say that what I do, it makes me feel happy. Despite that it's a very emotional, let's say I work with victims of domestic violence. And when people ask me, what do you do for living? So rather I just put the victims and call them victims of violence and all of that. I go and tell them that I help women to find, safety and to go to a safer places. So I find men and women places to feel safe and respected. And then they ask me the next question. It just depends on who's the person. Otherwise, it just goes on and on. So it's just how you look at your work and how you explain it, I guess. For me, just whatever I do, I feel like I gave energy and I work with energy, except that I don't do, Johnny, any exercise. I hope you inspire us. I hope you tell me everybody else drinking water except me. I don't know if there's nothing in here. So give us some tips on how to exercise. I don't exercise at all. Like today, I didn't even leave the room. So just imagine.
Oh, I mean, you're phenomenal. I've always said you're my role model. You really, really are. For anyone that didn't catch this before, Mariam is one of the warriors in my book. We have a whole chapter dedicated to her phenomenal story, and I get inspired every time I'm editing your chapter. I'm like, in tears. I'm like so empowered, and I'm just like, oh, I love her. You're just so amazing.
Thank you.
Again, I think even we talked about this before, even in the book. Funny enough, I was editing your chapter today, and you said something that this is from the book, and we talked about this a while ago, and you said, again, it goes back to purpose. And one thing you said was, really, really know what you want. Know what kind of a CEO you want to be. Know what kind of a mother you want to be. Know what kind of a wife or husband. When you know that, when you have that image, it gets a lot easier because you start working towards that. And I love that. I always use that. When I'm working, I always ask myself, what kind of a leader do I want to be? Even with my nieces and nephews, I'm like, what kind of an auntie do I want to be? In every aspect of your life, it's important to ask, what do I want to be? Who's that person that, I want to be like, the future me? And I love that. And keeping it simple is great. And you did keep it simple. To find your purpose, you just got to find what makes you happy.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah. Can I just give an example of how people wants to kind of perceived or show themselves. And if you too much fake it, there is a saying, fake it until you make it. So I agree with that as well. But at the same time, when you try too hard, it really makes you tired. Like even for the Zoom meetings, when we were asked to work from home, I literally have no room for me to work. I'm in my bedroom. My daughter, as soon as I finish work, she brings my computer and puts it on my bed and I go, you're finished. So I can't go to their room. But I was asked, or I was advised by a few friends, especially for the work that I work with Afghan women, and I mentor them and I talk to them. I go live and do a lot of other activities online. They asked me to set up a picture or something behind me, put books and all of that, and to show the power, to show that force in me. But first of all, it's extra job for me. And if I'm not that person, to work with force and show the people that, yeah, because I'm a CEO or I run an organization, and then at the same time I'm employee somebody else, it just makes a huge difference for me to feel in ease and work with what can I do. So one of the thing that we must kind of keep in mind, that to just be yourself, and the world is too big for all of us to have some space to work with the energy and the way that we are, and we don't have to be kind of all the same and be the duplicate of another person and personality.
100%. Authenticity is key. Just be authentic. Nothing wins like authenticity. Thank you so much for that, Mariam. And we're going to move over to you. And I just want to ask, what do you do to make sure that you keep all aspects of your life sort of balanced, and that you spend enough time with family and you get your work done? What do you do?
So I start my day, my week, and my month by always following how I feel. And in case of my wife, she's working from home. She's a pianist. So it's not very difficult for me whenever I want to see her, to go and see her and talk with her and prepare maybe some lunch or dinner. And she can prepare some lunch or dinner for me as well. Because usually breakfast we have separate, because it's a different. She really likes to wake up very early, like 5 a.m. and I wake up about 6:30. I'm always listening my body and my rhythm. So let's say if this week I have something which is very important for my clients and for me, then I try to balance my time to deliver everything which I promise to someone, and that's my priority. And usually day I try to divide in 3 most important actions which I have to take for that day. So if I can, I try to finalize everything by noon or early afternoon. So then I have late afternoon and evening to be more relaxed, and I feel like my day is already completed. So it's something what I learned to achieve everything you plan is there is always be something you cannot control. But if you stick to the something which you really care, then somehow you will find a way to complete your job. So that's how, and maybe you will extend the deadline, maybe you will change the tactics, maybe you're gonna, sometimes you cannot. For example, this year I was planning to go in Cannes, in France, in Thailand, in London, in Croatia, but everything is canceled. So I accepted that as a part of reality, and then I shift my mindset. Okay, this is not possible. I will not spend any energy on that. And what I can do here in Tokyo right now and here. I was thinking I will have Olympic Games this year, but we don't have Olympic Games this year. So many changes is coming from something I cannot control. But however, I didn't give up any second of what is really important to me. So what I'm thinking is always like, just follow what is important to you. And based on the circumstances you have to change, you have to, we are now working from home. I usually prefer work with people in person or in workshops when you see the people, feel the energy of the group. But now I realize we can be connected on the Zoom as well. So, you know, it's just exploring and be curious. That's the key, but never give up of what you really want.
Thank you. I love that. That is just well said. And as much as I could really relate to that myself on a personal level, like as much as I would love to have a routine and stick to that success routine that, you know, wake up at this time, have your workout in the morning, do this and that. I just can't. I can't even get myself to wake up at the same time every day because, like you said, I might be working on a project that's just really important to me. I'm willing to stay up all night, finish that, and then wake up at 11 if I have to, you know, or like have a 10 minutes of sleep. That flexibility is so important. And I love what you said. Just wake up and see what's important to you, what needs to get done, and just prioritize instead of having a fixed mindset on a specific routine. I love that. That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And Vanessa, do you have any particular tips for us or anything that you do specifically to make sure that you keep all aspects of your life in check?
Well, I strongly feel that for me, one thing that I used to do a lot of was I spent a lot of time in the past and I spent a lot of time in the future. So I was always worrying about things that happened or things I didn't do right or things I should have done all through my life. And this went on for many, for many decades. I'm not a spring chicken now. And likewise, the future. Oh, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What, blah, blah, blah. Nowadays I wake up, I get out of bed with a sense of purpose. I love to start my morning with exercise or getting in the kitchen, making myself a nice sort of healthy juice, making a nice meal for the kids. I will plan my day accordingly. I have to absolutely, with a full house over here, have to roll with the punches. Whatever happens and comes up in the day, who knows, where that's going to take me. And I'm not hard on myself anymore. I'm in the now. I make a point of just being aware of what the weather's like, being grateful, being, practicing sort of just little sort of, little bits of gratitude every day for things that happen. And just really grounding myself. I think the more I can stay present in the now, in today, and taking each day as it comes, the happier I am and the more fulfilled I am and the more I actually achieve. And, so that's how I get through my days at the moment and what works for me.
And that actually, Vanessa, reminds me of the 20-80 rule. It's like when with the 20% of effort, you get 80% of your work done, and 80% results actually come with only 20% of effort. So actually, the less effort you put in, the more you will actually achieve. And I've really, on a personal level, I've actually experienced that myself too. That when I'm a lot calmer, when I'm keeping check of my own energy, and again, prioritizing, knowing I'm in alignment with my purpose, I get a lot more work done. I get the right things done. I think what happens a lot of the time with people where they get so busy in their head that they create all this chaos in their head. And when you ask them, what are you doing? And I actually have found this in my clients quite a lot, where, it's like, okay, well, put down what is it you have to do. It's actually when people are really, really busy and they're not getting anything done, it's because they're probably running away from something they know they should do. Whether it's finding that purpose, whether it's looking after themselves. And then they're just being unproductive. And it's not the fact that they're too busy or there's too much happening in their life. They're just not in the right place, not in the right headspace. And again, gratitude, those things, staying present, appreciating the little things really, really helps to clear the clutter in your mind and really, really get productive. Thank you for sharing that. I absolutely love that. Now, Johnny, can you give us tips on how we could actually incorporate a bit of exercise? Again, I think Mariam, you like this question. How can we incorporate exercise in our day or in our week, maybe I should say?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's some people, like myself and my wife, for example, we're fitness fanatics and we do it every single day, but it's it's again, it's going on with what we've been talking about. It's what's right for you. I think people don't focus on enough on what they enjoy and what they love. So, for example, obviously we're in a very unusual time right now, and I've got a client who he was working from home every day, and he was doing like 2,000 steps. He just wasn't getting out of the house as well, kind of something that Marion was saying as well. And he's just discovered tennis. Hasn't played it for years, but it's like the perfect sport that he enjoyed when he was a kid. He's able to do it one-on-one with people right now, and it's an extra purpose he has found. So it's because it's something he enjoys and he's allowed to do it right now. To me, I'm quite a structured person. Like, I live and die by my diary, and I plan everything. And I think idealistically, especially people who don't love exercise, the best time, I know it's difficult when you've got kids and a job, is when you first wake up. It's having that morning ritual, because when life gets in the way and you plan to do it, say 5:30 p.m. or at lunchtime, and you're too busy, you just end up not doing it. So I think for most people, idealistically, if they can wake up and do something when they first wake up, even if it's just going for a walk, if it's going for a run, you can't go to the gym right now, but whatever exercise you enjoy, and I think that's what people need to get back to at the moment, then that is the best time to do it, or whenever's the best time for you. So the weekends are such a good time. People who are going crazy Monday to Friday, it's like this. If you can't do much Monday to Friday, then Saturday, when you first get that first opportunity, people who are really busy, is a good chance as well. And I think what people should really take advantage of right now is the fact that there is so much free content out on the internet for exercising at home. Like, I'm like, we're doing this amazing thing on Zoom now, and I've always been outdoors and in the gym always, and I'm teaching exercise classes in the same format that we're doing right now, and everyone's in their home 24/7. So you can literally click onto anybody right now. The body coach in the UK, for example, is like the most popular guy in the world right now on YouTube. It's all free. You can just click onto that when you've got 20 minutes. People think exercise has to be an hour. It has to be long. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 20 minutes at the time that suits best for you. And you don't actually have to go anywhere. You can just click on something, body weight, something simple that you can do in the right time, and easy and simple. Back to what we were saying, Vanessa said earlier on, just keeping it simple is just so, so important. What you love.
Oh, you said it beautifully there, 100%. I actually recently just finished reading a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he said something very similar to you, where he was talking about getting people in the habit of exercise. He said, you got to understand what that purpose is. The purpose is not for you to do 10 push-ups, 20 push-ups, 100 push-ups. The purpose is to get you in the habit of doing that. So the habit is to get you to be a person who exercises daily. Even if you show up daily for 1 minute in the gym, and he actually talked about this person that used that technique. He was really overweight and he wanted to lose weight, but didn't like exercise. He would go to the gym, sometimes just go to the gym, stay there for like 2 minutes, and then go home. And then he would do that every day. And then after like 2 weeks, he's like, I'm here now. I should do like 5-minute workout. And then every day he would show up. That 5 minutes turned into 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And after a year, he was, amazing. He lost so much weight because the habit was getting to do the exercise daily, regardless of how long it was. So I'm glad you said that. That's what it's important, to get yourself in that habit. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just move your body, go for a walk, 5 minutes, clear your head and come back. Yeah. And you said morning routine. I'm curious to know what your morning routine looks like.
Well, interestingly, my morning routine is very much changed in the last month. So to me, I was very simple in the sense that I would wake up in the morning, I would take my breakfast on the run, which is always like a protein smoothie, and I would go straight into my first client every single morning. But what I've actually changed in the last month is I now get up an hour and a half earlier every single day and go for an hour walk with my wife every morning. And that has been so different because it's it's been improving our mental health. It's been more quality time, and it's actually been starting the day. Or I'm not getting as much sleep as I was before, even though I'm going to bed earlier. But it's just starting the day afresh with a whole different kind of mindset. And then I've an early morning client every day, but I'm starting doing something for me and for us before I actually go and focus on someone else. So it's nice to have. Like, I always drink water, have a piece of fruit or something like that, but just go out and actually move the body, and then actually, you know, for me, helping somebody else move their body as well, which I've done every day for years.
That's amazing. That's really nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Now, Mariam, for someone, now you do quite a lot. You do a lot of projects at the same time, and I love that because I really relate to that. I can't get myself to stay focused on the one project. I always gotta have like multiple. That's what I find I can do best. You know, it's funny, if I do just the one project, I'll probably make mistakes. I'll lose interest. But if I have like 5 things running at the same time, I'm motivated. I'm excited, and I found that that's my peak performance comes from actually multitasking and doing a few things. Now, for someone who's also like that, how do you manage to stay on top of everything and sort of manage multiple projects or multitask in different areas and still, you know, maintain your sanity?
Well, obviously you learn when you're experienced in your field in terms of prioritizing your tasks. So I'm not an exercise person or a healthy eater, which Johnny, you got to help me with that. But when I get up in the morning, I do have a diary to look at now that we have a mobile phone, to look what do I have today, and whether I really wanted to focus on the 10 o'clock appointment with all my energy and stress about it, or I have to kind of take it easy and I know what I'm going to say, but I have to kind of think before the meeting at 2 o'clock, like it was, for example, today. So I need to, when I do a lot of projects, and most of my projects, and you know that I have a paid job, which is 9 to 5. I work with domestic violence worker, but the rest of the projects that I take on, it's all volunteer based. And the reason I'm doing is it goes back to my purpose, that it just gives me that satisfaction, that feelings of I'm delivering something. And you only will know this feelings when you were deprived for so long in your life that you couldn't do things when you were young or when you were a teenager, or anyway, I don't want to get emotional here, but then when you have a time, when you have the opportunities and the platforms, personally, I was feeling guilty not to use them, and in a sense where I can contribute to the people around me and pass that energy. But saying that, it does make me tired. Sometimes, remember when I was writing the play of The Good Women, before the night that I was going to perform it, I was about to run away from the art center, and that's the true story. And I said, what about I just go and run away? And that's it, because I thought I'm going to faint on the stage. But it just, you need to have good people around you. Mentorship, I'm a big believer of friends that share the same experience or similar experiences, have a listening ears, or somebody that you can just pick up a phone and just give them a call and talk to them as well. And sometimes when you do too many projects, obviously it can burn you out, but at the same time, I've learned with time that projects with deadlines, like if you have a project and they're all due on the same time or the same month, this is not fair for yourself and the person that you're going to promise, because it's impossible for one person or somebody who's really passionate. Yeah, passion is good, but also you have to think logically as well, that how much is good to do. But it seems that I do too much. I don't know why people think that I do too much, but it just happens. And I do have people like yourselves that just gives you that boost of energy, and because we work with stories and with people that are on the ground, so we don't play too much politics, and I don't have to be careful of saying whatever comes, whatever I can give. it just I give it and I move to the next one. It just depends on person to person as well, on what they're going to achieve from what they do, and whether how much they have to be careful, especially now with social media. And that was that conversation yesterday when I launched this campaign. But anyway, they said, Mariam, just be careful of all your messages that you put. Not that I put anything bad, but still, you got to challenge some perceptions, especially with now the domestic violence, the rate of domestic violence between families or in the families are skyrocketing. You got to sometimes put a message as a reminder to kind of create that sense of, belonging, or just remind them that this is a very short time. People will get back to their, boundaries, or, their space, and just, so it has a lot of pressure on you, but some of us has accepted it, and I have accepted it that I can do it. But I did have a cry with you, remember? So I admit that.
It's healthy though. It's so healthy to keep in check. I think one of the biggest parts of I'm gonna put quotation marks work-life balance is actually keeping on your emotions, knowing when you're okay and knowing when you're not okay, and really expressing that. I think that's huge. So again, even when you're under a lot of pressure, and if you just want to pretending, faking that you're okay when you're not, that's so unhealthy. Like, you can't. You've got to say, okay, yes, I am experiencing these emotions, and I need to, go cry or talk to a friend and feel better and get that boost of energy, get a project done, and then, maybe relax or whatever. So I'm glad you touched on that point. And Vanessa, I'm gonna ask you about that, emotions, and how to maintain them and how to balance things out. I'm just gonna unmute you. Thank you for sharing that as well, Mariam.
You're welcome.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Emotions, like keeping check on your emotions, especially, again, work-life balance, but it's all about, again, you're the common denominator, how to keep yourself sane and how to keep check on your emotions.
I strongly believe, I believe Johnny touched on it earlier in the fact that, you got to care about yourself first, and you really do. No one else is going to care about you as much as you, or no one else should care about you as much as you. And that was one thing, a real lesson that I learned, when I felt sort of sick, that I wasn't really caring about myself. And I think the more that you care about yourself and make an effort to put yourself as priority, even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, that's all it takes. A little bit of self-care really, really helps keep those emotions in check. And, I am put in situations every day with my family where it's very easy to blow the top. My husband and I are both working. He has a very demanding job. It's back-to-back meetings all day for him. I'm juggling the kids and my work and my clients and everything that I'm, doing, and the household. So it's very easy to just allow those emotions to sort of well up and to sometimes feel like you're doing too much or to feel unappreciated. The trick is to just to be aware of it, to observe what's sort of happening, to actually sometimes try to look at it from another perspective, like a third person, and breathing is just so important to me. And has helped me so much with stress. I used to be a huge stress fanatic, and I used to be a massive huge perfectionist, one of these kids that had to get everything right at school and get straight A's, and and I took that into my work career, and I took that into my marriage and with my kids, and so letting go of a lot of that has also been very helpful. On the emotional sort of front, and just maintaining a much more sort of sensible approach to life and to how you tackle things. But really, I think taking a deep breath and just putting a pause in your day and in your life, especially when you can feel things building up, really, really, really helps me.
Definitely. And I think Luke's got a question here. He's saying, so does that mean that the core foundation of the myth of work-life balance comes down to self-love and self-care? And is it fair to say if you're not connected with that, then you're not in check with the order of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as the others have said too, I mean, if you have purpose in your life, I strongly believe that you won't be at loggerheads then sort of struggling with this, you know, I have to have balance because I worked X amount. Now I need to have the same amount of, you know, rest and play. If you really have purpose in your life and you're loving what you do, I mean, it's taken me a few decades, but I love what I do now. I love helping my clients. I love helping, you know, people sometimes not make the same sort of mistakes that I made sort of in life, and having, you know, a sense of happiness and confidence and clarity in their life. When you have all that and you have a sense of purpose, you won't be having this sort of tug of war and this struggle where you're feeling like you have to have this work life sort of balance. I think everything will become more more entwined and more as one. There won't be so much of a distinction between it all. So you're right in that I do believe it is a myth per se, or that boundary, you know, should not really sort of have to exist.
I love that. And you said it beautifully, like putting yourself on top of your priority list. Doesn't matter how much of your to-do list, you know, if you work with diaries, or if you wake up in the morning and you go with the flow, put yourself first. And I think Ed also touched on that, Johnny touched on that, even, you know, talk about that. And Mariam also, you know, everyone's sort of touching base on the same point, that you got to keep check on yourself, on your emotions, and know that if you're not well, you're not going to do well for your work. You're not going to
laugh.
Yeah.
Find something to laugh every day.
Yes,
I even Google YouTube and, you know, anything to make me laugh. Funny book, funny movie, you know, anything. Have a laugh.
Oh, I love that. That's a great tip. Exactly. Thank you for that, Vanessa. Now, Ed, I want to ask you, now, also a huge part of maybe unloading that stress is actually getting work done as well. That makes you feel good as well, because you got, as humans, we got to see the reward of our work as well, and that keeps us motivated. Motivation, I personally think, is a huge part of this as well. Now, accountability is huge as well when it comes to this sort of thing. What tips do you have on people sort of holding themselves accountable, especially at times like that? People are not in their work environment. A lot of them are working at home. They can easily slip into their, you know, home routines, or, you know, wanting to not do certain things. What tips do you have there, Ed, for people to really hold themselves accountable and getting their work done?
Yeah, well, look, if it's something that they're struggling with, and it's a difficult thing to sort of be accountable for, I think keeping things in small sort of portions. I mean, if you're thinking about a huge project that you know, take, for example, the writing that I'm doing, and some days it feels like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to finish this because I've still got to write about this and this and this and this and this, and I've got all these chapters to do. And I also want to set up some new workshops for my clients, and I want to also do this, and I want to also get in the kitchen and cook for my kids, and I also want to go out and do some exercise. Just keep things back to keeping things simple and small sort of steps. So my accountability now, if I can even write for half an hour a day, that's a tick. If I can go for a walk for half an hour, that's a tick. If I can get in the kitchen and make my kids a very simple cheese and crackers or a sandwich or something, that's a tick, you know. And that's how I keep things accountable. And I look at every part of my life at the moment: self-care, so exercise, good health, eating, work, play, and I look at making sure that I tick all of those boxes at some stage sort of during my day.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Vanessa.
Even if it's just a few minutes.
Yeah, starting small. That's great. Thank you. And Ed, over to you. What are your thoughts on accountability?
You know, when something change, like now we had a big change and still is going on, then you have to change your measurement. The way how you measure your accountability is change as well, because something what was like makes you very, let's say, accountable yesterday might not work today at all, because everything changed. So you just have to be honest with yourself, and again, follow your purpose and follow what is really important to you. And even if you cannot achieve something because you just can't, because everything changed, then you have to change the measurement, how you measure accountability. So maybe before was let's say if you're working in a sales, right, then you are accountable if you have 10 meetings per week or 20. But now you cannot have like 20, maybe you can have 50 because it's online. But then that will impact your life balance because you are too busy online and maybe tired from this watching in the screen. So then naturally everything will come up. If you really want to do, you will find a way. And if you cannot do, you just have to be honest with yourself. And one of the very important skills is to learn how to say no. How to say no for like 80% of time, especially online, because otherwise that's one of the thing which I learned, that you have to really carefully go to the internet and how you're going to use the internet in order to don't waste your time for something which is important for you that day. And also in this kind of crisis, I think many new leaders will show up. So because the leaders from the previous system, they don't know what to do now, or they're like losing the money, they're losing the companies, they are losing the stuff. But the new leaders who are actually understand what's going on, they will create the new system. And that's what's going on right now. And we all can decide by ourselves personally how we're going to adapt. We just want to follow and see how it's going to work, or we want to actually create that new world which is coming, obviously. And then you are accountable if you can create, and actually then people will feel safe with you again. Because what have we now is everything is uncertain. How long this is going to take? Should I keep or should I change my business model? How this is going to affect? I cannot visit my friends or some people like me, family, or home country. So then there are so many uncertainty. And then who I want to follow? First, I want to follow myself, like how I going to respond to this situation, how I'm going to maintain this change, and at the end of the day, how I going to create the new measurement. So, and then when you have that kind of change, and then if you have logical explanation of that change, then people will start to count on you again. Because the worst scenario, if you are trying to using something which worked yesterday, today, you cannot succeed. Like you have to change. So, and that's for me, that's accountability. When I see that somebody is flexible, just like we have in Japan, bamboo, and then when it's an earthquake, the bamboo can like survive like almost 9 Celsius magnitude earthquake because of flexibility. So we also have to be flexible in this time, and that makes me feel accountable. And that's when I see people who are, I don't care about position and hierarchy, I just care how they respond and how they actually interact with the new circumstances. And if I see that they understand what's going on and that they can they have some logical new point of view, then I can count on them.
That's a great way of explaining that. And it's a great metaphor. That's fantastic. The bamboo and being flexible. That's incredible. And learning how to say no. That's definitely key. Now, for someone who finds it really difficult to say no, what tips do you have for them? How can someone learn to say no?
Okay, that's a very good question. So basically, whenever you want to accept something, you can always ask yourself, is this really serve my passion and my dreams and my purpose? Is that something which will help me to achieve what I really want? So if you can understand that this will maybe 80% will help you, then take it. But if it's 20-30%, maybe you don't need to take it, Maybe it's better to spend time with your kids or something different.
Oh, that's true balance right there. Nice one. 100%. I agree with you. And again, it goes back to something I was talking about before with my clients, where a lot of the times they've said yes to everything and they're forgetting the main important things that they have to do. And they've got all this clutter in their life, which is unnecessary. And that's what makes them sort of stress out or feel like they're burnt out, because they've taken things on board that's just not in alignment with them. And they've got the true thing that they really need to pursue sort of just dusting and not moving forward. So that's well said. Thank you for sharing that with us. Johnny, over to you. What tips do you have on accountability?
All right, accountability. I find, you know, I'm a mentor as well, and I mentor a lot of people, and I find that for accountability, if you have someone you trust, you know, it doesn't have to be a mentor or a coach. It can be the person you live with. It can be a parent. It can just be a colleague. You know, I think if you've got someone who's in a similar position, then you can keep each other accountable as well. So, you know, it's great to have self-discipline. If you can focus on that and you don't need anyone, brilliant. Keep your ding task to yourself if a list works well. But if you've got someone who's in the same boat, or a coach or a mentor, parent, lean on them. And that way you've actually got someone to be like, I need to do this today. Ding, that person has acknowledged it and accepted it, and therefore you're much more likely to do it and keep to it, really. I think that's the key.
I love that. Yeah, finding someone who will hold you accountable and knowing that you got to sort of report back to someone, you probably take it a lot more serious than just promising yourself like, you know, I'll get to it later.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Miriam, what about you? What do you do for accountability and really making sure that things get done?
Okay. I guess I go what the previous speakers have spoken in terms of to find that balance of how much I can deliver before I promise, and looking at the factors of if this project or this request is serving my purpose, and how much I can when work on it, does it really a kind of you know, help me in terms of learning as well, because we're all in different stages of our lives and we're looking at things from different perspectives and lenses. So when I was younger, I would say yes because I didn't have experience, and it's good for younger people to say yes and do things, and you know, rather than, you know, act like a CEO who is 60 or 50 years old and they have to choose. And also, I don't want to open another conversation here. I know we are finishing, but when we're talking about balancing life and work, there is one aspect from a woman's perspective, and there is men's perspective, and how we all can't do the same kind of approach towards. So it's good that we have men and women here and discussing it, but sometimes because the women empowerment nowadays is a big topic and everybody's talking about it, and it puts pressure on women to say, oh, if a woman is not working from the office, then if she's not dressing up in the morning, she's less successful or less important. But now that I reflected in terms of working from home, you feel that as long as you deliver your job, as long as you do what you do and you are happy with the results you're getting, you don't have to have a big office. And what Edward said, that things are shifting. Now the next generation, or probably even after this COVID-19, people will think of the strength-based approach, how they work with their own strength rather than waiting for the government or a big offices or glass offices to look nice and look powerful, the way I was advised to put some books behind me. Yeah, so I look, when you guys were talking, so much were coming into my mind that, wow, how much these conversations are important from people who are just, you know, working from every day. They're like on ground work. What do you call it? They're ground workers, like on the ground. They're on the ground. So we are people who are on the ground, and we see people, we talk to people, we are open to conversations. But at the same time, women listening to this type of conversation must know that them not being able to have that name of CEO or working from an office is and a lot of women nowadays, they choose to work from home. As long it's their choice, as long they are productive and do what they enjoy, that is itself brings that work and life balance and happiness and positive and energy and everything.
Amazing. And how do you make sure that if you set a task, you actually get it done?
Me?
Yeah.
When the person doesn't come twice to me and go, this part is missing. So, no, well, obviously, at the position that I'm or the time I'm working is I have to look at the delivery aspect of the projects. So it comes to me when either I have to put it together and kind of work with the team to tell them what I expect or how this project has to come to the end, like when to come to the end, what the result should be. So obviously the result will speak to you, whether your work or where your mind, where your vision is working or not. But depends again on your experiences, where I come from, because I'm talking from not from any theory aspect. I'm talking from a lived experience. So I talk from where I'm coming from, what I have achieved, what the struggles are, the language barrier, and everything else that you work with and with other women, and it just your surroundings will give you that message or the yes and no, whether it's working or not. And if it's working, you will keep going. But if you can't, if it's not working, then I guess it stops itself. Yeah. So I see my result when things are delivered, and obviously, from experience is just the post project, and there's a pre-survey or kind of looking at it, and then you see whether you can how impactful is your delivery is, and if there is an impact, you as long you don't kind of be a someone who wants to change the world. Again, it just puts a lot of pressure if you want to change the world. But if you are impactful, and if you shift some minds in terms of looking the world from a better lens, then I guess that's how I see my work, and that's what I'm involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Now, just to recap on everything, at least I've gathered from all of this is finding your purpose. If you really want to create the right balance in your life, you gotta find your purpose, do what makes you happy, have your prioritization there, know what's working, learn to say no to stay accountable, keep it simple, and have fun. Just find some time to do the things that you love. Find some laughter in every day. Just keep check on your emotions every day, and that's really basically how you can make sure you have the right amount of emotion. It's more about emotional balance from what I'm gathering rather than anything else. Anything else, Mariam, you want to add before we wrap up?
Oh, I just want to say that you need to exercise. I need to exercise, guys.
Exercise as well.
Everybody, I have to drink water and exercise, and so I guess exercising. I guess I like to watch the YouTube videos sitting in my bed. So that's just that feelings that gives me. But I guess more than anything, I guess disciplining yourself in a healthy lifestyle, whether you want to eat the cake or you don't want to eat the cake, but as long there is a balance within the balance, or within whatever you do, moderation is the key in everything.
Amazing. I love that. Johnny, anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I think just the concept of being happy and doing what you love in every aspect. We just mentioned there with exercise, but it's, I always say with people, if they want to have their cake, that's great if they love it. Moderation is perfect. If it's something people are always telling themselves, I should not do this because it is wrong or it is bad. There's no such thing as right and wrong. It's just perception. If you enjoy something, makes you happy, do it. You know, and I think that's, you mentioned there about emotional balance. If you get a balance of everything and you just forget society telling you it's wrong, you enjoy it and you're happy within yourself, that's the most important thing with everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. And we have Mel's asked us a question. How do you find your purpose? And I think earlier on in our conversation, I believe Mariam did touch on that, and it was basically to find your purpose. You might take some time, and simply Mel, I think Mariam touched on that. I'll go back over to you, Mariam, for that. And it was find what makes you happy. When you find something that you're really happy, that's when you found your purpose. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Mariam?
Well, this conversation is recorded, so I'm sure you're going to, for friends that just joined us, they can, go back to the conversation. But with finding your purpose is, it comes with experiences. You've got to try new things, different things, until you feel what really feeds your soul and makes you happy. And or happy does not mean that you're always smiling and everything. It's just that just gives you that sense of belonging to the world and the work that you do. You will feel it. I'm not talking from psychological kind of point of view here, but you will feel when you're happy with the way things around you at home, at work, with your friends, the place you're living, the colors you're wearing, the way you are. It just, all of them adds to the purpose of your life. And it goes back to everybody was talking about what makes you happy and what makes you comfortable. I guess that's the best word, if I may use. If you feel comfortable, then it's, you find something that, and it's to challenge yourself as well. It's not a bad thing. It takes you to another step in life, and you might find something else that I never knew that. I never knew 5 years or 3 years ago that I'll write a play and I'll perform it from a place where I've come from. And there is it's just kind of forbidden for women, to do what I have done. But it just the journey of life, the experiences, the energy pushed me to do what I did. And that was another thing that I stepped up. And now another purpose of my life is to look into writing and writing books, writing stories, connecting with writers, connecting with conversations. And it's just, it just makes me happy and comfortable sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a thing. And I think another great thing is to, like you said, try it to know what feels right. You got to do it to get a feel for it. And really, really keep asking yourself that question. The key really is to keep asking yourself that question. And it's not that, I don't think you're born with the one mission to do, and that's what you got to do for the rest of your life. Like you said, Mariam, that if you keep asking that question as you move, through life, you have more added on to that purpose. From one thing, it transforms into another, or more things will come your way. You just got to find what you're really good at. One question, I think, Mel, I hope this helps you. One question that's maybe cliched, but really, really helps is, if you were to do something and not get paid for, what's the one thing you would do, even if there's no money in it? Even if you're not getting paid for it, what is the thing that you really, really love to do? And then, that's your passion, and then try and find avenues in that area and start getting creative in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I just add something here, in terms of someone said here that they have so many hobbies and they just, sometimes it's good to be multitask and multi-passionate, and I'm one of them. I'm multitask and multi-passionate. Like it's very hard sometimes to tell people what I really like, or what's my favorite color, or what's my favorite food. Well, all the foods are my favorite, but it's just you don't have to have a very particular way of thinking and doing things. Just give yourself the permission of not being confined and put in the bubble to think this way. And it just goes by books, and people who just go and study one particular area, they just kind of form their mind to think from that that aspects. I always have this kind of, I even challenged one of my uni lecturers, and she said that if I keep going like this, I'll waste my time and I'll fail the unit. So it's good to give yourself a little bit of, let go. And yeah.
Exactly, and be brave enough to experience it. Don't worry what anyone's going to tell you, what's right. There's no right or wrong, like Johnny said. And I think it also gave you probably the biggest tip: have mental flexibility. Be willing to try and see what works for you. And over to you, Ed. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up? Thank you so much for all of that, Mariam.
Well, we explained very well how to find the purpose. I have one mental exercise for people who really struggle to think about it. Like, just imagine the day then it's your last day, and try to go there and then ask yourself, how do you want to be seen? What kind of experience you want to have if you turn around? And then you will figure out like how you want to actually create from today by then day. And that might be your purpose. So that's something which I found interesting, when you imagine your last day and how that looks like. And if you are happy with what you did, then come back to now and then just do it.
I love that. That helped me as well to realize that I asked that question for a whole week. If this was the last day of my life, would I be doing what I'm doing? And for a whole week I asked that, and when I realized every single day the answer was no, I was like, it'd be really sad if today was the last day of my life and I'm doing what I'm doing. That's when I really realized I got to go all in into what I really, really love. And that's a very powerful question. You got to take that moment for yourself and ask that. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely. And Vanessa, over to you. I'm just gonna find you. There you go. Thank you, Ed.
Hello again. Did you want me to add on for purpose or
anything?
Life balance? Anything. Well, okay. I am going to leave with. I think, this whole concept of the new normal that we're going to be going to once all of this, self-isolation and social distancing is over, is going to be interesting. There's a lot of, I think a lot of people are going to be questioning, what is the new normal, what works and what doesn't work for them, what they want in their lives and what they don't want in their lives. And also, the whole concept of working from home. I know for a fact that there are a lot of companies out there that said to their staff, no, absolutely, you cannot work from home, not possible. And now they find themselves in a situation where they have had to make it work. Some of them have had to run out and go and buy, monitors and, set up the home offices, blah, blah, blah. And they've actually made it work. So it will be a really interesting world that we step into. It's going to be very different. And I honestly hope that there will be a lot more flexibility in everybody's lives going forward, based on our experiences these last month or two. Yeah.
I love that.
Looking forward to it all.
Well said. And again, I think flexibility really, first of all, as Ed said it starts in the mind. It's I think one of the best things that this isolation probably brought about was, I said to a lot of people, was if you ever, if you weren't doing what you had to do and you were using work as an excuse, you don't have that excuse now. You're not commuting anymore, or you're working at home. What's your excuse now? If there are things that you want to get done that you haven't done, really be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, it's not going to work for you. So be honest with yourself and ask the questions. Answers don't show up immediately. Be patient with yourself, cut yourself some slack, and just have faith that you'll find your purpose. You'll find that balance. You have all the answers within you. Just trust yourself, and whatever comes up, go with that, and experiment, experience it, trial and error.
Like Mariam said, I'm 100% to that. I mean, experiment, try, give it a try, give it a go. You never know where it's going to lead you. You may find you don't like it, you may find you do, but you know, you'll never know if you don't give it a go. And don't compare yourself to anybody else, because you know, you are you. And I was guilty of that. I did spend a lot of my time comparing myself to other people, and you know, it's not worth it. You are you, and you know, even if you do the same thing as somebody else, you're going to do it differently. And you know, so yeah, good luck everyone with finding your purpose. It's exciting, and you know, what makes you step out of bed every morning and smile is, you know, it's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
And don't be afraid if it changes one day. You know, you wake up and you excites, and then another day there's another thing. You know,
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong. Again,
Absolutely.
Came up a lot. Yeah, purpose is a great alarm clock.
Alarm clock.
I think you up, wasn't it? And
totally.
Be you, be authentic. Love came up quite a lot, and that was the main point of I think what we got out of this, that you got to look after yourself. You know, you got to prioritize yourself in every area of your life. And it's been an absolute phenomenal conversation. I want to thank every single panelist. You are all extraordinary. I want to thank everyone who joined us. It's been amazing. And I want to say that we will be back. The High Vibe Project will be back on Friday with one of our leaders, Kwan, at 12 p.m. Another roundtable, another discussion on health and fitness. So join us for that. And it's been phenomenal. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone. And have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
See you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
you.
Thanks, Tina, for hosting us.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tina.
Thanks, Tina.